continuing our cool summer series today with the superpowers within us all. And our superhero today is the Green Lantern. Maestro?
Billions of years ago, a race of immortals harnessed the most powerful force in existence. A ring powered by the energy of will was sent to every sector of the universe to select a recruit. Together, these recruits formed the intergalactic peacekeepers known as the Green Lantern Corps. The gravest threat the Corps ever faced was paralyze, an entity that fed on the yellow power of fear. After defeating the Corps' finest warrior, the search for a successor began. Choose well. And for the first time, the ring chose a human.
That's our superhero, the Green Lantern, a ring powered by the energy of will, creating an intergalactic force of peacekeepers known as the Green Lanterns. So there's more than one. Now see, I learned something new because I thought there was only one Green Lantern, right? But there's a whole corps of them, something like 3,600 throughout all of the galaxies out there. So as we saw in the video, the ring is what empowers them to fly and to hypnotize people and to manifest whatever it is, whatever tool they may need in their peacekeeping requirements throughout the galaxy to keep peace everywhere. But the interesting thing about this ring is it has two weaknesses. One is that it's only as powerful as the imagination, as the will, as the focus of the one who is wearing it. And number two, it must be recharged every 24 hours. It must be recharged every 24 hours. Interesting weaknesses, right? So with our superhero today, we're going to be looking at ways that we can empower our own lives through this powerful superpower that we have called our will and our imagination. Because those are really powerful tools that we have and use in our life in the creation and manifestation. So this ring is powered by the energy of the wearer's will. Does that sound familiar to anybody in Science of Mind? Yeah. Ernest Holmes, the author of The Science of Mind and the founders of the Centers for Spiritual Living, tells us that will means decision coming into execution. Decision coming into execution. That's the will. He says to will is to determine by an act of choice. And volition, choice, and will must be attributes of spirit, and they mean practically the same thing and are necessary and real attributes of self-existent power. For without choice, volition, and will, there would be no channel through which the ideas of God could be expressed. No channel through which the ideas of spirit could be expressed through us. We're the hands and feet of the divine, right? We know that God is all that there is. It's an essence and a presence. It's spirit. It's source. It's not a guy in the sky. It's not that anthropomorphic idea of a human. It's essence and presence. So its activities are of intelligence and mind through its creation, through us. So this idea of we're the channel through which the ideas of God can be expressed, and we use choice, volition, and will in that process. So this is also a central theme in the Science of Mind that we hear frequently throughout the textbook, and that we have the power through the creative process, through focusing our own mind and our own attention, just like the Green Lanterns, right? Can access their power through focusing their mind, their attention. Holmes answers the question in The Science of Mind. How much can we demonstrate? Have you ever wondered that? How much can I really demonstrate? Does this stuff really work? Right? Anybody ever had that question? Well, he tells us we can demonstrate as much as we believe. As much as we believe. How much you can see, accept, find in your own consciousness that is not denied, not repudiated by our own denials. Not repudiated by our own denials, meaning negated by our own self-limitations. It's the old yeah, but, right? Yeah, but. Yeah, I know we live in an infinite universe, and I know that infinite possibilities exist, but not there. Not there. Yeah, but. Not there. And we have that ability to limit ourselves through our beliefs. Through our beliefs. So, how much can you believe? How much can you believe? How much can you demonstrate? How much can you create? Are you open to infinite possibilities? Anybody know anybody that's kind of skeptical? Oh, a few people know somebody like that. Maybe they consider themselves a realist. I look at life as in reality of life, right? I look at what's really happening. Yeah, that guy. Perhaps even you may be a little jaded or cynical in some of your thinking about them, they, that, and the way things are. Yeah, it's easy. I mean, we reach a certain point in our lives, a certain age, an experience level, and we just know things, don't we? We just know things. And those thoughts, we transform those into our belief system, don't we? We think those thoughts and we transform those into our belief system, and then that becomes the limitation through which we then begin to experience our life. And we've talked in the past about how sometimes when we're hurt, we'll build a wall to protect ourselves from getting hurt again. But then frequently what happens, that wall becomes a prison, doesn't it? Blocking the good, blocking the love from coming, or from our love going out. Because what we thought was a protection when maybe we were younger, maybe we were small people, and they were protecting. But as we've grown, we need to sometimes revisit some of those things, revisit some of those beliefs, and see if they truly are still serving our absolute highest and best, or are they limiting us in some way? I know you've all heard this story, but I'm going to tell it again. The 3 generations of women that are in the kitchen cooking Easter dinner. It's the grandma, the mom, and the daughter. And mom whacks the ends off the ham. And the daughter goes, "Mom, why do you do that? I was over at Susie's house and her mom doesn't do that." And she goes, "Well, I do that. Mother, why do we do this?" And grandma laughed. She says, "Well, I had to cut the ends off because it wouldn't fit in my pan. My pan was too small. My pan was too small." So here all these years, she'd been living with this limited belief because her mother's pan was too small, that's how you had to prepare the ham, was to cut the ends off of it. So where is your pan too small? Where is your pan too small to receive your good? You know, Ernest Holmes says we can go to the divine with a thimble or a bathtub. What are you going to the divine with? How open and receptive are you to receive the infinite good that is ever available to us? So if, like the lantern, you received the ring. Who was that? Ben Affleck? Is that who that was? No, who was that was the lantern? Who are my movie buffs? Brian somebody. Okay. But you saw him receive the ring, right? What if you did? What if you received that ring that would allow you to imagine, manifest whatever you imagined, whatever you could hold your focus on? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Can you hold your focus on your good long enough to allow it to manifest? Can we hold our focus that long? Holmes tells us that will must be combined with choice and volition, and that we are each that channel through which the divine ideas of spirit are expressed. So if our channel or our pan is too short, we might be getting a ham that's got the ends cut off, right? Yeah, we might be receiving the smaller ham than what we could if we had that bigger ham, that bigger pan that we went to the well with, so to speak. So have you ever noticed that ideas come to us and some of them fade? Some of them fade. We don't give them any energy. We don't give them any attention. Isn't that interesting? And some we give a lot of energy. We give a lot of attention. We give a lot of focus to. And then we begin to see those develop, don't we? We begin to see those manifest in our life. We begin to see those come into the activity of holding that will, if you will, holding the will. And remember, we've talked about how when we are in that vibration of belief, of believing in our good, when the idea comes, we're excited about the idea, we're enthusiastic about the idea, we're empowered by the idea, and our vibration is up and we believe, and then we doubt. And then we doubt. And it's like the UPS guy, we make our order on Amazon and then we move and we don't give a forwarding address. And our good can't find us because our vibration has changed. Our vibration has changed. There's another character in the Green Lanterns. He is actually a lantern himself, and his name is Tomar Ray. And he's a leader and a mentor of these new recruits that come in. And the character that we saw, the Green Lantern here, is our Earth Sector Green Lantern. And he, again, was the first human that was selected. And Tomar Ray is explaining the power of the ring to him. His name was Hal Jordan. And he said, it is the energy generated from the central battery of O. That's the home planet of the lanterns. And he says its power comes from the will of every living creature in the universe. Isn't that cool? Its power comes from the will of every living creature in the universe. And this in turn charges your lantern. They have a separate lantern, which in turn charges your ring. He then says, even your suit is comprised entirely of this energy. Now, isn't that the coolest metaphor? His suit is energy. Our suit is energy. Our suit is energy. We are filled with that energy and that divine spirit. Our suit is energy as well. Jordan goes on to ask the question. He goes, so what's with all the green? What's with all the green? And Tomar says, green is the color of will. Green is the color of will. The Guardians harnessed will because it is the strongest source of energy in the universe. And you have it. You're all Green Lanterns. Did you know that? You're all Green Lanterns because you have this power of will. This power to direct your own life. This power to choose and then take action on those choices. You're all Green Lanterns. I love it. So for our Green Lantern heroes, once that ring is all charged up, then they use their imaginations to begin to conjure up what they might need. If they need a rope, they can conjure up a rope. If they need they need to fly, they can, I was going to say a car, they don't need drive cars, they fly. They can fly. If they need weapons or support or whatever they might need, they conjure that up in their imagination, hold their focus with their willpower, and then they go and they save the galaxy. They save the galaxy. But that power of imagination is much like we talked last week with the power of our word. It can be double-edged, right? We said that the power of our word is double-edged because it can tear down as well as build up and lift up. The same is true with our imagination. Our imagination can empower us and have us create new and wonderful things, and it can also scare us, can it? I don't know if any of you had parents that told you ghost stories. My mother was famous for telling us ghost stories. Oh my gosh. She would scare us. But she was just her talking. It was just her talking. But it was our imaginations that took us into these ghost stories and these things that were happening to people, and we experienced it and we felt it and we were scared. We were scared. But that's our imagination working, isn't it? It's such a powerful tool that we have, and it can be double-edged. And the same is true with our green lanterns. That the lanterns, if they believe they're blind, guess what? They can't see. Or if they believe they're hurt or they're trapped or they're going to fail in some way. So their whole power of their energy is inherent upon them to maintain their focus, right? Maintain their focus. Again, Tomar says to Jordan, the ring turns thought into reality. Its limits are only what you can imagine. Does it sound familiar? This is such a Science of Mind character. I love the Green Lantern. I wasn't familiar with it, but it's so cool because, I mean, this is what we teach, right? Universal law. The only limits are ourselves and what we can imagine. What we can imagine. Ernest Holmes, again from the Science of Mind, tells us about imagination and will. He combines the two in the definitions in the glossary in the back of the book. And he says that he's quoting the French psychologist Émile Coué, and he says imagination is superior to will. Imagination is superior to will. Will is the assumption that yes, this is what's going to happen. The use we make of this life is through our imagination. Now think about that. The use we make of this life is through our imagination. If you go out to dinner, the menu comes, and you're looking through all the stuff on the menu. Don't we use our imagination? Would I imagine I'd rather have a steak or a piece of fish? And you imagine what both of those taste like maybe, and where you've had them before, and we use our imagination, don't we? We use our imagination. When we're imagining going on a trip and thinking about where would I like to go? Oh, would I like to go on a cruise? Or would I maybe like to go on a camping trip? Or we use our imagination, don't we, about what it would be like to be in that environment. It's a very, very powerful tool that we have. And it is how we create our life, is through this thing called the faculty of our imaginations. Holmes goes on to say imagination carries with it feeling and conviction, which means life and action. Life and action. It awakens within us all the inner forces of nature and stirs into action latent powers which otherwise would never come to the surface. Superpowers, right? Superpowers are stirred through our imagination that it's possible, I can do it, I can fly. I can fly. Now, imagination is the power of the word, while will is the directive agency. And it denotes the purpose for which the word is spoken. Like we talked last week, we speak our word. And then our imagination helps with that idea of volition and taking action on the word to make it be manifest in our life. Holmes teaches this idea of mental equivalence. You ever heard that? It means mental equals, having an equal picture in mind. We had the whole class on visualization, for those of you that participated in that, where we hold in our mind, through our willpower, the vision of that which it is we would like to experience or see in form, a feeling, whatever that might be. And as long as we use our will and hold that in place, then universal law manifests that, creates that. The law of attraction brings that to us to express through our life. And he talks about that with this idea of mental equivalence and visualization. And again, it's back to that idea of vibration that we've talked about before. So the lanterns use this power of imagination again to conjure up all of the skills and tools and assistance and things that they might need. And it's similar to the creative process that we teach in the Science of Mind. Remember, seed, soil, plant, the idea, the universal law, and then the manifestation. So it's very similar to that. And the word conjure, I looked it up. I thought, what does this exactly mean? Well, the definition of it is supernatural or magical. And it's like, okay, are the lanterns supernatural or magical? Well, I got to thinking about that. Remember the Wright brothers, their flight? Do you think people that didn't understand aerodynamics at that time thought maybe that was supernatural? Maybe that was magical? I still think it's magical how airplanes fly because I don't understand it. But, yeah, so they probably thought that. It probably seemed magical at that time. And look at us now today in our own lifetimes. look around the room. Most of us are probably familiar with a phone wired to the wall with a little cord, and you were trapped. You had a little distance that you could go, and then they came out with those long cords. You could walk around a little ways. That was kind of cool, right? And wherever the phone was, which in my house was the kitchen, that's where you had your conversation because you couldn't leave, right? Well, then they came out with cordless. Ooh, freedom. I can walk around the house. And then cell phones. Remember the brick? Everybody had a brick phone. Remember those? Bag phones, all those fun things. Well, now our iPhones, our Androids. My goodness. The technology in those. Not only is it a phone, it's our address book, it's a calendar, it's our mail system, it's instant communication through Twitter and texting, it's a camera, it's a video camera, it's a recorder. You can get all these cool apps for a flashlight and a compass and who knows what else. It's our music system. All of that in the palm of our hand. Now, did somebody use some imagination? Did somebody have a bigger pan? Oh my goodness. To come up with all of that. You know, some of us remember when computers were as big as this room and you fed punch cards into them, right? And the technology we have in our hands now is amazing. And that's the power of our imagination. Someone imagined it was possible, and they used volition and will and choice to manifest that and bring that forward. And it's not over yet, is it? No, it's not over yet. It's just going to continue and continue and continue. So I read an interesting article and to contrast that story with about a legal case this week. And a gentleman of the Christian faith sued his employer because the employer had implemented a policy of a hand scanner for monitoring employees' time and access and so forth. And this gentleman said no, he was not going to use that scanner because according to Revelation book 13, it would leave him with the mark of the beast. It would leave him with the mark of the beast. So he was back and forth with his employer, and his employer pulled the passage out, and they said, okay, you can use your left hand because in Revelation it says right hand or forehead. And he goes, no, I can't do that either. I can't do that either. So they went back and forth. The manufacturer of the machine gave them all the documentation that no, there leaves no mark. It leaves no mark. It leaves no visible sign, no nothing. He wasn't buying it. So the company gave him an ultimatum that he either needed to start using this hand scanner or he needed to take early retirement. Well, he chose to sue them instead. And he won. He won the case because his belief was so strong in his faith in that word in the Bible that he was awarded the settlement for religious persecution. How strong is your belief? What do you believe in? What do you hold true? Right? Yeah. Where do we place our faith? Is our pan too small? Bathtub or thimble? What are we going to the well with? Are we limiting ourselves with short pans and scanners? Sounds silly, doesn't it? But some of our beliefs can be that way. Sometimes when we discover these little beliefs that we have that maybe we didn't know, and it's like, oh my gosh, I still believe that, and that's what I was taught by my mom, brother, uncle, cousin, sister, or whatever. Because we don't stop to look at them. Does it still serve me? Does it serve my highest good? So as we ponder that this morning, I want to move to our practicing the principles this week and see how we can apply the superpowers of our will and imagination this week. Well, number one is the power ring. And the power ring, of course, represents universal law, right? It represents universal law. It is done unto us as we believe. Again, this Green Lantern story is amazing. It's done unto us as we believe. What do you believe? Have you checked into your skepticism? Does it protect or imprison you? Does it protect or imprison? Those walls can work both ways. And are you achieving and receiving all that you desire? The use we make of universal law is our own, and only we can limit it. Only we can limit it. Number 2, will. The strongest source of energy in the universe. Will is the strongest source of energy in the universe. It powers all the lanterns that power all the rings of all the green lanterns in all of the galaxies. Human willpower is also amazing, isn't it? We hear stories, amazing stories, of human willpower. Again, the Wright brothers, they stuck with it, didn't they? A lot of failed attempts until they finally ultimately flew. And what about in our own lifetime, all of the Apollo missions? How many amazing stories of human willpower, perseverance, stick-to-itiveness have we heard or read or watched a movie about? Amazing human willpower, stick-to-itiveness. And number 3, imagination. This is the creative faculty. The ring creates whatever the lantern imagines. And that's our creative faculty as well. Its only limits are what the lantern can imagine. So what limits do you put on your imagination? Remember as little kids? We used to make up everything, didn't we? We played with dolls and trucks, and we made cities, and we played house, and we made forts out of quilts and stuff but in our imagination, those weren't quilts, were they? Those weren't sheets and blankets. Those were walls or a fort. Paper dolls. Anybody play with paper dolls? No, that takes some imagination. Those are flat Stanleys. They're not even three-dimensional, right? They're not even three-dimensional. But what fun we had with paper dolls and imagining the things that were happening with them and cutting out clothes for them and so forth. Imagination. It is our creative faculty. Let it go free. Let it go free. I love the Walt Disney quote. He said, if you can dream it, you can do it. If you can dream it, you can do it. We've got some goals and aspirations that we all wrote down in January for 2017. Here we are almost at the end of July. How you doing? How you doing? If you can dream it, you can do it. You focus on them every day? Are you holding your focus? Are you imagining what it feels like to achieve that? That's what it's about. Walt Disney also, what does he call his engineers? Imagineers. Doesn't that change the whole feeling of it? It opens and broadens that creativity. An engineer is, nuts and bolts and things. An Imagineer, wow. That's creating. That's creating. So what dream lies dormant within you, held down by your limiting beliefs or skepticism, denial, or fear? Yeah. Use some imagination. Dream it and do it. And finally, the ring must be recharged every 24 hours. Now, we didn't talk a lot about that, but the ring drains itself every 24 hours and has to be recharged by the lantern, the separate little lantern that they have. And we need recharging too, don't we? Yeah, we need recharging. Not only do we need sufficient rest and refreshment and so forth, but we need our spiritual recharge. We need to plug in and tap into spirit through our meditation, through our prayers and journaling and our study, to recharge and refill ourselves from the depletion of life around us, from the negativity, from the stresses, from all of the things that come at us in life all the time, and the decisions and the multitudes of things that we have to do. We need a recharge. We need a recharge as well. So I invite you to engage your superpowers of energy and will and imagination, and to know that you have access to your own ring. Because I've already told you you're all green lanterns anyway, right? So you have access to this ring, and it's powered by universal law. So go ahead, dream, create, imagine, receive. Create the life of your dreams. I want to close this out this morning with a little passage from the Science of Mind that I came across that It really sums up this talk and the Green Lanterns. And I'm pretty sure they read this before they created the Green Lanterns. So just let you know that. Just let you know that. He says, ignorance stays with us until the day of enlightenment, until our vision toward the Spirit broadens and casts out the image of a no longer useful littleness. What we now experience, we may cease experiencing if we have the will and the imagination to set our vision in an opposite direction and hold it there. It is the office of the imagination to set the vision. The will should hold it in place until the creative genius of the inner life transforms the image of limitation and transmutes it into liberty under law. Does that sound like a Green Lantern? Ernest Holmes, he was so cool. So we're each blessed with the gifts of imagination and will, and the ability to access and implement the divine ideas. Take advantage of those. Take advantage of your superpowers. Access them today. Be your own superhero. So let's join me in prayer as we anchor this morning. So how good it is to come together in the One, as the One, recognizing that there is only one power, one presence, one infinite life, one mind. And that is God. It is source, presence, essence, spirit. It is the allness of life. It is the very breath. It is love and joy. It is harmony. And all of that is here, now, present, in, through, and as me, as an expression of it, and in, through, and as this room, and in, through, and as each and every person in this room and within the sound of my voice, for we are all in and as the one power, the one presence, that which has manifested in created worlds, that which holds the planets in their very orbits, that dynamic and powerful love. So from this place of knowing our unity in this wholeness, I speak the truth, the word for and about each and every one in this room, knowing that we are infused with these superpowers of will and imagination, and that we access those at any time to manifest our dreams, our desires, and the creativity of the divine through us. And I also know for anyone this day that has anything on their heart that they're seeking extra prayer around, that is now lifted into the forefront of their minds and into each of our hearts as we hold that space for them and hold that knowing for them of the perfect wholeness, of perfect health, clarity, wisdom, financial flow and abundance, relationships and love, whatever the need is. I know that it is filled in this perfection, in this wholeness, in this moment. And for this knowing and for this truth, I am so grateful. So grateful for the manifestation of this prayer as I just release it with great confidence into the action of law, knowing that it is done. It is so, for it's already made manifest in the mind of God. The word spoken is the word made manifest. And we affirm this together by proclaiming, and so it is.